Hey, welcome everyone. It's Friday, November 1st, 2013. This is Darko, and my website is ggnonline.net. Alright, you guys probably seen this news about the Google barge being spotted on the East Coast, but I think there was one on the West Coast too. Either way, how is the media covering this thing? With showrooms and party decks, those mysterious Google barges would make for a great bar mitzvah rental, so they make a big flippin' joke over it, right? But they're possibly spy centers, data centers, a water-based data center. They actually have a patent for it. The system includes a floating platform-mounted computer data center for comprising a plurality of computing units. Ugh. A sea-based electrical generator in electrical connection with the plurality of computing units, and one or more seawater cooling units for providing cooling to the computing units. So now this is key because remember, just recently the huge NSA spy center that was collecting all this information that's being data mined in Utah was what? It was burning out. They were running out of water. They were using a lot of water to cool these things. So this would be a good solution. I saw this article from the 29th. Australia is set to deploy the world's largest wave energy device. They've recently announced that it's launched at the world's first 1 megawatt wave to electricity unit. I remember mentioning this like 10 years ago about an idea of using the ocean's currents and the ocean as an energy source, because it's used for rivers and that, but people shoot that down right away. It says Arena stated that with Arena's support, Ocean Linux Lynx has designed and constructed basically a wave energy device to convert the ocean's power into electricity, and is now preparing to commission and test how well it can feed this into the national electricity grid for 12 months. So it's just kind of funny that, it's like everything else, things that could be used to help people so they don't have to spend all the money on the utility companies that are monopolies. Instead, it's going to be used for what? For NSA spy centers. In other words, like everything else with technology, in that it comes from the top down, and it's usually used to help control and enslave you even more. This whole thing about free energy or Tesla type energy, you can imagine that the government probably is ready for that. We're hearing about blackouts. We were covering that recently. They're having the government in that is having a exercise, or actually there's a show, I think, on History Channel or something, propaganda for people to be scared about what happens when the lights go out and electricity grid goes out. So he says here, terawatts of untapped energy are just swirling around out there in the oceans, waiting to turn the gears of fascism. It was just a matter of time. A CNET report on Friday looks very much like Google has been building a floating data center made from shipping containers on a barge in the middle of San Francisco Bay, but it may not be the only one of its kind. Google has not responded to multiple requests for comment, but the project in San Francisco appears to be the manifestation of a 2009 patent for the water-based data center, and will likely leverage the fact that wave energy can provide cheap and plentiful power. The mystery of the Google barges might have been solved. It's just kind of sad though, you know what I mean? It should be a serious issue, and the best people can do with their opportunity, their forum here with online news, millions of viewers, is to make a big damn joke about it. The NSA infiltrates links to Yahoo. You should be surprised by this, but they're infiltrating links, or have links to Yahoo, Google data centers worldwide, Snowden documents say. This is supposed to make you feel better. The NSA doesn't keep everything it collects, but it keeps a lot. And if it could keep everything it would, it physically can't. Like we're talking about using up all the water, all the space. As far as spying goes, Lightbeam, it's a new, I believe it's considered an add-on, or maybe even a plugin for Firefox web browser. Lightbeam allows you to track those who track you online. Designers at Mozilla Firefox have developed a way for you to watch those that watch you. It's designed to give you access who's been watching your web browser behavior, giving users the ability to track third-party companies tracking them. So I installed this, but it was just using up a lot of either RAM or just basically processing power, memory, and that. So I just kind of disabled it, but be interesting to know, right? Brainwave analyzing neurocam only records if you're interested. Says that it's pretty sad that you have to press a button still to take a picture. It's Now hands-free loving Japanese folk have come up with a wearable headset like a contraption called the NeuroCam. It says it analyzes brainwaves to take pictures and video for you. Using a proprietary brainwave quantifying algorithm similar to those used in Nikamami cat ears, I don't know what the heck that is, the NeuroCam only captures things that seem to interest you. By measuring the wearer's interest level from a scale of 1 to 100, all show in real time on an attached iPhone. NeuroCam's biosensors start to kick in to high gear at a score of 60. The high score numeral then turns red on the phone screen and activates the iPhone camera to record a 5-second GIF of the subject automatically. Right now it's just a prototype, but this is the future, and people will keep slaving away and working, right? There'll be people that are working to survive, and there'll be people that are working to get gadgets and toys like this, and they will separate from the other, human species. That's just the way I think it's going to go, and that's the way the people that, whether they're for it or they're against it, people that are supposedly debating about this, are actually having the same kind of thoughts or consensus that this is going to come, whether we want it or not. So I guess it's good to be aware of it and how far along you are into it. Man stitches computer into his arm and becomes a do-it-yourself cyborg from November 1st. There's a guy out there with a computer embedded in his forearm. The time of the cyborgs has officially begun. It hasn't really. Half of it is psychological, getting people to ethically accept these things, these devices as a part of them. How many parts of, how many prosthetic limbs does it take to not be human anymore, right? Or chips or whatever. So it's been slow. It's been a slow go. What's more, this isn't some highly classified military program bent on the creation of super soldiers. However, this is where it always comes from. A lot of technology goes in there. Remember, look up the article, Genetically Modified Super Soldiers. I think it was from Economic Collapse blog. The dude just kind of wanted a computer in his arm, so he hired a body modification expert to cut him open and slap the bit of electronics inside. The operation was completed entirely without anesthesia because there's not a single doctor in the world who would have done it. So, the data can be transferred wirelessly to any Android-powered device as a biometric sensor that basically shows how much the thing's presence is screwing with his body. It also charges wirelessly. In the future, Canon can envision his flesh-mounted computer serving as a biometric hub communicating with his smart devices, and connected home. I covered this, I believe it was on Wednesday. Brain implants being used to basically connect to the internet. They'll be connecting people to the internet by the year 2020. Would you like to download the content of a 500-page book into your memory in less than a second? Have extremely advanced nanobots constantly crawling around your body monitoring for disease, or nanoparticles that are coming through the aerosols going through your bloodstream and your brain? Would you like to be able to instantly access the collective knowledge based on humanity wherever you are? I mean, technically kind of do that with the smartphones and the internet. According to the Boston Globe, the U.S. government plans to spend more than $70 million over 5 years to jump to the next level of brain implants. Why? Because it makes you easier to control. That's why it comes from them, for defense applications too, for blowing shit up and killing people and enslaving people. The new project is being called the Systems-Based Neurotechnology for Emerging Therapies. Oh, therapy, that sounds good. Be able to monitor mental health of soldiers and vets. So it's kind of like stuff like this. MIT ThermoElectric Bracelet is personalized dynamic climate control. Wristify, as they call their device, is a thermoelectric bracelet that regulates the temperature of a person wearing it by subjecting their skin to alternating pulses of hot or cold depending on what's needed. Imagine if someone takes hold of that and starts frying you. $30,000 prosthetic hand, or one made with a 3D printer for $5. We were talking about 3D printing a 20,000 square foot home, or maybe it was 2,000, but either way. What would you do when you could not afford a $30,000 prosthetic hand that your son needs? So this one individual started searching for an inexpensive prosthetic hand for his son, who was born without fingers on one of his hands. Came across a video online, detailed instructions on how to use a 3D printer to make the hand for his son. He made it. It cost $5 and free time on 3D printer. I mean, there's different things. It sounds great and everything. I actually met someone like that has like the real almost non-existent fingers in that. He's just gotten used to it. So it's a matter of just taking what you're given in life, or, you know, worrying about what other people think. Like the person I'm talking about, he told me, he's like, yeah, I tend to hide it so no one really notices. I'm like, well, I don't care, dude. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna make fun out of you, but you know, I guess that's the way it is. You know, you're defective. Then again, with the prosthetic hand or whatever, then again it comes to that point of how many different parts, you know, does it take to be a human or a robot. First, the driver gets a ticket for wearing Google Glass in California. They're saying it might be a testing for new legal ground. It's like everything else, though. The laws will eventually catch up with the technology. Technology is moving really fast. It says it may be time for the courts to decide. China's face mask trend, photos of ridiculous radiation prevention mask. I'm going to pause that. It says here the most popular new accessory in China is arguably any of the assortment of face masks designed to protect users from toxic levels of air pollution and solar radiation. So it says that these citizens in China are buying masks to fight a different kind of hazard that may be found indoors, computer radiation. They said that they're bizarre masks, but they've actually, these damn pop-ups and these videos playing on the side are really starting to piss me off. And I do have AdBlock Plus, but whatever. So it basically goes on, and it says here that doctors debunked the radiation mask makers' claims. So they don't do much in terms of radiation prevention or aesthetics for that matter. But people have gotten into it. They've actually made like all kinds of well, it looks ridiculous, but some people have like masks and stuff like that. For whatever it's worth, I think there's even like cell phone covers. One of them comes out of England, but possibly even China. So you think China, with all the smog and all this bad stuff and that they're doing with the pollution-wise, that these people are concerned about this stuff. Whereas here in America, when we were industrializing, they said, oh, you know, hey, breathe in smokestacks and all that. It's good for you. And you know, now they say, you know, trust cell phones; they won't give you a tumor. Take GMO, you know, you'll be the lab rat. Go ahead and do all this, because really, ultimately, the point is that they're going to eventually start using your mouse. You're going to be able to use your mouse and your keyboard with a chip inside your head. So these things are really kind of transitional, kind of like the big cell phones back in the days. It's a transition until eventually it just becomes a part of you. But I say right on, you know, good for them. You know, Americans, they're kind of naive when it comes to it. They really do trust authority figures like, you know, the FDA and all that. Computer radiation. Long-term exposure, like those people that are working, increases risk of all forms of cancers, tumors, blood disorders, miscarriages, headaches, insomnia, anxiety, aging of the skin. So, but it says here it's identical to sun damage. A TV, microwave, cell phone, computer, all products emit basically radiation. Using a laptop or LCD does not exclude you from the negative health effects of computer radiation. All monitors emit low levels of it. Laptops and LCD monitors emit less than the old-fashioned CRT monitors. However, all monitors emit enough radiation to affect your health and appearance. One of them is a radiation filter, eliminates almost 95%, 99% of harmful radiation emitted from a computer screen. Talking about glare guards and stuff. You can type this in, look it up. 34 scientific studies showing adverse health effects from wireless frequencies, which are in low doses, so they're okay for you. The big things as far as testing with these rats and stuff was that they're studying their genitals and fertility and sterility. So decreases human sperm and motility, increases sperm DNA fragmentation. So autonomous robots, the slow and steady progress towards them. Says there's important differences between drones, landmines, and killer robots, the more serious term being fully autonomous weapon or lethal autonomous weapon, as the UN puts it. Landmines are automatic. Drones are remotely piloted by humans, but killer robots can both select their targets and engage in violent force, completely outside human control. They say, we don't think that the power should be given over to the machine. We want to see a human always in the loop. And finishing up here, Northrop Grumman, Lockheed Martin to develop a pod-mounted aircraft and UAV laser defense. And it says here that they're being appointed by DARPA, and they're going to be used for drones to develop laser weapons to defend aircraft from missiles. And I think I'm going to just leave off here. Thank you for joining me. This is GGN.